So who here wants to tap into new levels with their name on it? Raise your hand. And if I can show you how to tap into your zone of genius in order to have greater impact and greater income, can you commit to massive action moving forward today? Say yes. All right, that's what I like. And so about 2 years ago, we were all literally had been punched in the gut collectively at the same time, called the pandemic, right? And looking through this room, none of us look like what we've been through for the past 2 years, right? Y'all look good. And so I was sitting, scrolling through Netflix, scrolling through literally every streaming thing. I felt like I have watched everything. Can I get an amen? Y'all with me? And I stumbled upon this show called Lovecraft Country on HBO. Y'all seen it? Okay, good. Because oftentimes when I tell this story, people have not seen it. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain it to you if you've not seen it. It's crazy as all get out, but it's so good. And so I'm bringing that up because when I first came on as the CEO of Black Ambition to lead Pharrell's Black Ambition Opportunity Fund, where we invest in Black and Latinx entrepreneurs, as well as HBCU students at the highest level, this was literally the first conversation that Pharrell and I had was about Lovecraft Country. And so there's two characters in Lovecraft Country, Ruby and Christina, right? And this is like episode maybe 4 or 5. I should literally go back and watch and figure out what episode it is, because I always tell this story. And so in episode 4 or 5, Christina and Ruby are sitting face to face and they're having this conversation. And if you remember in the show, Christina is this white woman with all these mystical powers, right? She can make people appear and disappear, make things happen and not happen, just all kind of crazy mystical powers. And she's sitting across from Ruby. And Ruby is a Black woman, an amazing Black woman. But at that time, in episode 4 or 5, she feels quite powerless. Like she cannot do the things that she wants to do. And so Christina literally turns to Ruby and she asks her this question: who are you uninterrupted? And I was like, whoa. Like I had never heard that question before in my life. I've worked for some of the top companies, or worked for and with some of the top companies across the globe, Nintendo, Sony, the NBA. Somehow I ended up working for the Timberwolves in cold Minnesota. And you only go to Minnesota, for me, for love, right? Which this guy over here made me end up in Minnesota. So I worked for the NBA, the Timberwolves. I also worked for McKee Foods, who produce Little Debbie snack cakes. Don't eat the oatmeal cream pies, y'all, that's all I'm gonna say. Do not eat them. They don't actually have oatmeal in it, but that's a whole other story. I know, I just disappointed y'all. I'll get into that later, but they don't have no oatmeal in it. I'm telling you, you heard it here. You heard it here from me first. They're made the way hot dogs are made, but okay, I'll tell y'all about that later. I know, right? You're like, you just ruined my whole childhood, Felecia. Anyways, there's not hot dog meat in it. Let me clarify that. They're literally just made with all the scraps of whatever desserts were made in the factory that day. So actually, if you want to do an experiment, if you open up 2 random boxes of oatmeal cream pies, that's why they're never the same exact color. I was like, these tech people are like, ooh, that's what I learned today. Anyways, so I worked for some of the most brilliant companies in the world, and I had never been asked this question: who are you uninterrupted? And I couldn't answer the question when I was watching the episode, so I literally wrote it down. And I was like, I need to be able to answer this question, because I have been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And what do you want to build? And what do you want to do? And how do you want to build generational wealth? I've been asked all these things, but never, Felecia, if nothing stood in the way of you following your dreams, what would your life look like? If at every intersection of your life, the light wasn't red, it wasn't yellow, it was only green, what would your life look like? What would your family look like? What would your community look like? What would you do with your time if nothing stood in the way of you achieving your dreams? And it's hard to answer that question first if you don't first define what has interrupted you to begin with. And so for many of us, especially all of us in this room, racism has been the interruption, right? Bias in funding has been the interruption. All the obstacles that stand in the way of us actively being financial beneficiaries of everything the innovation economy has to offer has been the interruption. Sexism has been the interruption. We can go on and on and on of how Black people especially have been interrupted throughout their entire lives. But I'm asking you this question here because I want you to take the time to answer it. Because we have to get to a point where we are allowed to dream much bigger and much more expansive about who we are, what we have, what we can build, and what will our life look like if we define a life without any of those interruptions happening for us moving forward. Who are you uninterrupted? And so I ask you that question because that's literally what we've been building with Black Ambition. The ambition part is building a pathway to entrepreneurship and through entrepreneurship where the pathway to it and through it can be as uninterrupted as humanly possible. And that's funding at the highest level, and then almost kind of getting out of their way once we fund them and support them. And as a result of that, those companies have gone on to do some amazing things just in the past year. They move so fast, I actually need to update this slide because this slide should be saying 60 million at this point. But I'm asking you this question because the quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. And so that's something that Tony Robbins says oftenly. The quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. And I feel like I'm in a room where I don't have to hark on the importance of asking questions and testing things and iterating because we're all techies here. So we know what it means to ask questions and test assumptions for products and services that we're building. But this moment, this framework that I'm going to teach you, this Genius Jam framework, is about a personal transformation framework for yourself so that you can step boldly into your genius to optimize whatever it is that you want to be able to accomplish in this time that you have. But the first part of that is asking and answering the question, who am I uninterrupted if nothing stood in the way of me achieving my dreams? What would my community look like? What would I want my life to look like? What would I want my family to look like? And why it's important for us to ask better, richer, more expansive, and most importantly, more expensive questions of our lives is oftentimes we're around the people that could be the next step that we need, could be our next co-founder, could be our next top hire that completely changes the trajectory of our companies, and oftentimes we don't ask them the right questions. So we're getting the access, we're getting into the rooms, we're either getting a seat at the table, or we get a seat at the table and we realize the table is real raggedy, we don't want to be there anymore, and we build our own tables and our own networks only to then not have the right conversations. And so what are bigger, richer, more expensive, and more expansive questions? They're more expensive questions of the people around us, because when we do ask questions, we get data and insight that allow us to make our next best move. And so what are some of the questions that are cheap questions that people ask all the time? Hey, how did you get started? Why are you asking that? That's such a waste of time asking big, rich, amazing, and powerful people around you, how did you get started? Because if you ask someone that started 30 or 40 years ago, social media didn't even exist yet. Heck, Mark Zuckerberg wasn't even born yet, right? And so their environment in which they started their company does not help you at all. You can be inspired and you can be motivated, but the environment is different, so you can't replicate their steps. And so the bigger, richer, more expensive question to ask is, if you lost everything today, what are the 2 or 3 things you would immediately do to get it back? That's a $300,000, $3 million, $30 million question. Because why? You're going to be able to garner their wisdom over the past 30 or 40 years, but apply it to the actions that they would actually take today with the resources, the network, and the know-how today. And so we have to get better at asking bigger, richer, more expansive questions, because the quality of our questions determine the quality of our life. The next part of that is we have to actually change our operating system, our personal operating system, so that we actually can know if we are operating in our genius or not. And most of us, as studies have shown, that human beings make up to 40,000 different decisions every single day. I'm like, 40,000? 40,000? Yes, literally. 40,000 different decisions. Should I blink or should I not blink? Should I turn right or should I turn left? Should I wear this shirt or not? Should I wear these Yeezys? No, I shouldn't wear them today. Right? Like, we make all these different decisions every single day, but most of us have actually never calibrated our body to know if we're making the best decision or not. So before I can walk you through a framework that is going to be transformational for you and help you step into your genius, we first have to know how to make better decisions and almost change our personal operating decisions about what comes in and what comes out. Because if we don't, we operate in this chaotic state. And chaos and chaotic minds will either make no choices or extremely poor choices. Chaotic minds make either no choice at all or very poor choices. And so I'm going to take you through an exercise that was created by a really brilliant author by the name of Martha Beck. And it's called body compass work. And it actually teaches you how to calibrate your body so that your body can tell you and better inform you if you should go left or you should go right. Should I hire that person? Should I not hire that person? Should I take that investor's money? Should I not take that investor's money? And most of us are so all over the place and don't have a compass in which we are in tune with our body to allow us to make best decisions. But our body is always going to tell us the truth, and our minds are what lies to us. And not in a malicious way, our mind's just trying to protect us. Our mind is full of emotion, but it's full of analytical and logistical thinking as well, but like the body holds on to everything. It holds on to trauma, but it also holds on to joy. It holds on to creativity, and it also holds on to innovation. And so this is going to be one of those exercises when I ask you to close your eyes. It's one of them things, yes. And if you know I'm looking at you, that means that you have not closed your eyes. So my son did this to my daughter yesterday. He was just like, my mom was just like, pray. Like, let's say our prayers. And he's like, my daughter's name is Ori. He's like, Ori's not closing her eyes. And I'm like, how you know? Your eyes got to be open in order to tell on her that her eyes are open. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And I want you to take this practice and this moment seriously, because we cannot expect results from work that we have not done and we refuse to do. And the biggest work that you're going to do and the best work that you're going to do is the work that you do on yourself to be a vessel for other people. And so close your eyes, if you haven't already, for the third time. And I want you to think of the happiest time of your life. Hold on to that moment. Don't start thinking about lunch. Hold on to that. And now I want you to think of when you thought of the happiest moment in your life, what happened in your body? Did you get a chilling sensation? Did maybe some of the tension in your shoulders get released a little bit? For some of y'all that I can see through the lights, the side of your lips started to curl up just a little bit. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. Hold on to whatever happened in your body when you thought of the happiest moment of your life. Now I want you to close your eyes again. Now think of a time in your life when you were disappointed. When things didn't go the way that you wanted them to go. Maybe someone overlooked you. Maybe someone said no to you. How is that registering in the body? For some of you, you might have clenched or tightened your fist. Or all of a sudden, now you got a tension in your body. Or you did a micro expression with your lips and it went to a frown. Whatever that is, hold on to how it registered in the body, what your body did. Take a deep breath and open your eyes. Now you're going to close your eyes one more time. We're going to do this 2 more times because A compass is north, south, east, and west, right? And so this time, close your eyes again. And I want you to think about a moment in your life where you felt extremely, extremely powerful. Like you felt like doing like the Superman or Superwoman pose. Maybe it was after a meeting where you just absolutely killed it. Or you got the connection that you wanted. Or that bank account was banging, right? Like whatever it is. Hold on to how it just registered in your body, and then open your eyes. Take a deep breath, and we're going to do this one more time. So close your eyes, and I want you to think about a time in your life that was the most innovative time of your life, where you're like, I came up with the best idea. I executed at the highest level. How did that just register in your body? What happened? Hold on to that and then open your eyes. Y'all all right? You just calibrated your body. And if you've never done that exercise, give yourself a pat on the back and congratulations, because you just calibrated your body. You now have registered 4 emotions, 4 massive decisions that you're making on an ongoing basis as innovators. You now know what that feels like. So the next time you're interviewing someone and like it registers in the body the same way happiness registers in your body is telling you that every moment in your life that was joyful and happy, you're getting that same emotion when you interact and speak with that person. So you should probably move forward with that person, right? Or if you were, say you're meeting with an investor, because not all investors are great investors, let's be honest about that, right? And you're meeting with an investor, and every time you meet with this person, every time you get a text from this person, every time you get an email, it registers in your body. You have the exact same sensation in your body as when you just calibrated your body for disappointment. Your body is telling you that you probably don't need that check, or you probably don't need that relationship. Red flags always show up in the body in any human-to-human relationship because we're energetic people. And so your body is now telling you and in tune with you that that's probably not the decision that you need to make, no matter how urgent it may be for you in that moment. Your body is always going to tell you the truth now that you have calibrated it. And so you can go home and further that practice, right? So that you know at any time when you're making decisions what you should be doing. But like the most innovative time in your life, right? You now know how that registers in the body. When you're working on a project or you're getting ready to launch something, like you now know exactly what that feels like in your body. So now that you become a master of making the right decisions and not being constantly indecisive and in this loop of feeling very chaotic. And so now that you've calibrated your body, let's go into like Genius Jam, right? And so I became a student of Gay Hendricks' work in his book, The Big Leap, about 5 years ago or so. It was literally one of the most transformational things that happened for me because I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. I co-founded the Center for Black Innovation with my husband. I was doing all the things, but I was not being responsible to myself and my body. I was saying yes to everyone. You know how Shonda Rhimes said like a year of yes? I needed a year of no. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. And I was being extremely chaotic. And so things were happening, but they weren't happening in the way that I needed to because I was all over the place and I wasn't focused. And so I needed to be in San Francisco. At the same time, we were running an 8-city conference for Black Tech Week all across the United States. And I was extremely, extremely tired. I had to be in San Francisco, and then not even within 24 hours, I then needed to fly to Kentucky and then be able to fly back home. If you've ever done the East Coast, West Coast flight, it's brutal on the body, right? It's very brutal, especially if you're in basic economy, but that's a whole other story, right? It's very brutal on the body. And I got off the stage, I finished the event, I had a great meeting with a funder, so I felt really good, but I still felt drained. I got back to my hotel room, I was packing up my stuff. I'm like, I gotta catch this flight to Kentucky. I gotta catch this flight to Kentucky. And I packed up my suitcase, and something in my body told me if I got on that flight, I'm not going to make it, right? Because I had calibrated my body, although I wasn't listening to my body. And I called my husband and I told him, I was like, I cannot get on that plane. Like, I literally need to rest. And I sat back on the bed, called the hotel to extend the night. I sat on the bed and literally just, like, you know that Oprah color purple ugly cry? And it wasn't like tears of like frustration, it was sadness. It was tears of literally exhaustion leaving my body. And the first time I listened to my body and say, Felecia, stop. Stop. And so the big leap came into my life at that time. And I'm gonna walk you through this process, but more than anything, I'm gonna walk you through where he leaves off and where Genius Jam starts, because it's a little bit incomplete in his framework, but the framework is powerful and it absolutely changed my life. And so there's 4 components to the zone of genius: your zone of incompetence, your zone of competence, your zone of excellence, and your zone of genius. Your zone of incompetence are all the things that you do that you don't have no business doing. No business doing. Why is this thing on your to-do list? Why is it on your to-do list? You do not know how to do it. You actually make things worse by doing these things, but they end up on our to-do list anyways because we are strong people. And we've been told throughout our entire life that we have to be twice as good. So we start doing all these things that are absolutely unnecessary, but we do them because we have to feel strong. You have to be twice as good because you just are twice as good. But you know how you can maximize and 10x being twice as good? By working in your genius and stop doing the things that you should not be doing. You have no skill set to do it, and it's really what I like to call your zone of no return. You get absolutely no return on the time, dollars, resources, or energy, or people that you put towards doing the things in your zone of incompetence box. Remember I said, you get nothing results from work that you have not done. You get no results from work that you have not done. And so draw a vertical line or a horizontal line on your tablet, your notepad, your phone, or whatever, and definitely go through this process. The second part is your zone of competence. You know how to do these things. Yeah, you can do these things, but they are not the best use of your time. I call these things your zone of low return. You get little to no return on the time, resources, energy, dollars, and people on your team that you put towards doing these things. So stop doing them. This is your permission to stop doing things that do not serve you and ultimately end up not serving people at the highest level at all. My husband and I ran a food company in Miami for 8 years. And then maybe about two or 3 years ago, we invested in a hip-hop ice cream shop as well. And I remember the first day that the store opened, our business partner, I was in there trying to scoop ice cream, y'all. And because I'm like, I ran a food company for 7 years. Like, I can scoop ice cream. And my partner said to me, our partner said to us, like, he was like, if you don't get out of the way. And I was like, what you mean? Like, I know how to scoop ice cream more than anyone. We manufactured ice cream and popsicles for 7 years. We ran a food company. We started after the 2008 economic downturn, after falling down, chasing after an ice cream truck in heels. Who does that but me? That was our Oprah aha moment. Another story for another time. And he was just like, get out the way. And at that moment, I felt like, who is he to tell me to get out the way? But I was performing in my zone of competence. I know how to do it, but it was not the best use of my time. I had done what I needed to do. I had brought in the other investors and partners. I had communicated the plan. We had built the store. We had hired the team. I had done everything. Why am I in the kitchen? Kind of low vibrational, but no, I'm not going to go there. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go there. Anyways, zone of excellence. Your zone of excellence is tricky because your zone of excellence, you actually are excellent at these things. You are really good at these things. People come to you often and say, can you do this for me in the way that you do the thing that you do? And you say, yes, because it's easy for you to do. You've been doing it. You got your degree in it. You got your 10,000 hours in it. You've been doing it. Your zone of excellence is tricky because it's also your comfort zone. So when people talk about your comfort zone, this is what they're talking about, your zone of excellence. You've made a title, you've made a name for yourself. You're really good at the things that you do in this box. I know none of it sounds horrible, does it? But there's something in your body that is telling you, this ain't the best that I can do. I'm good here, I'm comfortable here, I can live and die here and still have some accomplishments. But I didn't leave it all on the court if I stay in this box. And if you ask yourself, have I been the best steward of my gifts with the things that I've done in the zone of excellence box, and you cannot definitively answer it with a yes, or a heck yes, or a hell yes, then you're in your zone of excellence box. You're not in your zone of genius box. And so write down, what are the things that are in your zone of excellence box? I'm good at it, but it ain't. I know there's something that's telling me that this isn't it. So let's jump to genius box. I know that's what y'all been waiting for me to get there. Like, Felecia, forget all that stuff, genius. The other stuff is important because by the time that we're all the age that we are, even though black don't crack, right? We picked up all these things that we shouldn't be doing, so we feel so chaotic that we cannot step into our genius until we go through a process of elimination. You have to get rid of what is in your zone of excellence, what is in your zone of competence, and what is in your zone of incompetence in order to step into your genius. The other part of that, and this is a great framework to share with your teams, is as you're developing teams, you're restructuring teams, the things that are in your other box are what you need to hire for. And their genius should be your zone of excellence. Their genius should be the things that are in your zone of incompetence box. Their genius should be the things that are in your zone of competence box. I hate email. Don't email me nothing. I will read it, and in my mind, I have emailed you back. Do not email me. Email is in my zone of competence. I can click, clack, and do it. I will read it. But 9 times out of 10, I've written a whole thesis in my mind and have never sent it to you. So I had to have an executive assistant who, I've never met anyone that loves email the way this woman loves email. I never in my life. And so knowing what my zone of competence and incompetence was made me hire people that was their genius. My managing director with Black Ambition, she's as detailed as anybody I've ever met. I am not detailed. I can go into the details, I can structure and strategically plan the details, but executing on the minute details, that is her genius. So what is genius? Our genius is our innate ability. When people say to us, like, you could be working 12 hours and it only really felt like 1 or 2, that is what they're talking about, right? Your genius is your secret sauce. The way you do things, and only the way that you do things, only the way that you show up in the highest value that serves yourself, because there's nothing wrong with saying that. But it also has to serve other people at the highest level as a result of you stepping in and working through and in your genius. Our genius, and most people will refuse to own genius until MacArthur Fellows bestows genius upon you. Not until that time can I say I'm a genius. Black people are geniuses at our core, in our being, in our DNA, in the way we have survived, in the way that we wake up every morning with every data set, every media outlet, every story telling us that we are absolutely nothing. And we show up every day with blinders on, like, I hear what you're saying and I don't hear it. That is genius. You can only do that if you are genius and you come from geniuses. But most people won't own it because we think that like you have to know everything in order to step into your genius ability. But the best geniuses are actually the best students. They are lifelong students. They know that they won't know everything about their craft, but they wake up and super serve anyways. The best geniuses are the best students. We expect genius from everyone else, but oftentimes we do not expect it from ourselves. And I'm gonna give y'all an example. If you had to go meet with a neurosurgeon next week, you needed to get brain surgery, and you're meeting with a neurologist, and they say, and you say, like, he's just like, next Thursday? What time, 2 p.m.? I can be there for you. You look like you need somebody in your corner. So I'm gonna say yes. We're gonna figure this out together. I don't know how I got this degree, honestly. I don't know how I got this title, but this is gonna be a group project. You'd be like, if you don't get the heck away from me, you literally like would be running, get the heck away from me. Or if you go to another neurologist and you meet with them and they say, you're like, yes, next Thursday, next Tuesday, can you I'm meeting with you just so I feel confident that you're the right person for me. And you're like, I've had some success doing this. I can do it. What you need? A lateral cut or like a vertical? Like, what do you need? Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I barely made it through med school. I got my medical degree from, the University of Phoenix, like whatever. And no offense to anyone at University of Phoenix, my mom used to teach there. But the excuses that she used to tell me about how many times people's cats have died, I'm like, poor Lord have mercy, right? Anyways, if the person says to you, like, I can do it, I don't really know if I'm the best person to do it, but we here now, and you look like you need somebody in your corner, so I'm gonna say yes to you, and I've had some success in doing this, you'd also run away and be like, get the heck away from me. And that is what we sound like and what we do when we say yes to things that are in our zone of incompetence and our zone of competence. We sound just like that neurologist. If someone is getting ready to do the most important work on your body, there is no room for error. There is no room for error. There is no room for error. Because error literally means death or debilitation. You would want that person to feel extremely, extremely confident that they have all the ability, all the confidence, all the know-how, and all the support. And when they wake up to serve you, your body, and your mind at the highest level. Can I get a yes, yes? You want that person to feel confident. And what we have confused confidence is ego. And confidence, the root word of confidence, what is the root word of confidence? Y'all are really smart. Someone said it. Confide. The root word of confidence means to confide. And what does confide mean? I can't hear y'all. Trust. Some of y'all were at homecoming last week. So I know y'all can talk and scream louder than that. What is the word trust? What does it mean? Trust. And so confidence isn't this big bravado thing. It isn't being on 100 all at the same, every day, all day, 24/7, 365. That is not what confidence is. Confidence isn't Elon Musk and it's not Kanye West, right? Like, it's to trust yourself. Trust your ability. Trust your receipts that you've been here before and you can do it again and you can produce over and over and over again. That you can have impact, but then you can also have income at the highest level as well. And so stepping into your genius is about trusting your ability and trusting that you can deliver. And I know for a fact people in this room have delivered time and time again. And so now it's about your genius, delivering at your highest level to super serve people. It's not enough to just know your genius. So once you write down what your genius is, and you might put a few things within that box, right? Your genius is the glue between all of those things. Your genius is the glue between all of those things. Your genius is not a job title. I know some people just got disappointed. They just scratched out like, programmer. Your genius is the essence of who you are. Your genius shows up the exact same way in every single thing that you do. If you really look at it, from the PTA meeting to the boardroom to the lab, it shows up the exact same way, to even in this room. Your genius shows up in the exact same way in every single thing that you do. And if you really look at your life, you'll see that, right? My genius is being a solutions-driven communicator. I don't just speak to motivate and inspire, I speak to solve problems. That can be from government to major technology companies to everyday individuals. Solution-driven communicator. You could say fundraising is my genius, and it's definitely not, although I've raised millions of dollars for my organization. It's not, it's what happens as a result of my genius. Your job title happens as a result of your genius. Your impact happens as a result of your genius. Your income at the highest level happens as a result of the confidence of your genius to ask for everything that you deserve. Because I'm not going to say worth, because that's where a lot of people struggle with either asking for what they need for their income from a corporation or value or putting a price on their services. Stop saying to be paid what I am worth. There is only, no matter who you pray to, I know who I pray to, that's the only person that can put a value on my worth. So many of us struggle because, like, how do I put a value on my time and my being? Because that's what you're really saying. You can put a value on the value that you actually bring to the marketplace. The value that you bring to the marketplace is what you price. You don't price your worthiness, your being, your essence. That's why we struggle. Anyways, genius, in order to get to that part, you actually have to give genius a destination. So many of us have heard, our gifts will make room for us. Raise your hand if you've heard that. Our gifts will make room for us. Where that statement leaves off is our gifts will make room for us. Our genius will make room for us. But we gotta tell it what rooms to take us to. We have to tell it what rooms to take us to. It's not enough to just know your genius. You have to give your genius a destination, and that is your zones of opportunity. What opportunities do you want to come out of you stepping into your genius? How do you want your family legacy to change as a result of you stepping into your genius? How do you want your startup to change and have impact as a result of your genius? Where do you want it to take you? And we gotta start getting very granular with the things that we want and we ask for. Because if not, you keep getting these things that kind of sort of look like what you kind of sort of want it to be, but it's not it because you haven't been specific. Where do you want it to take you? We keep asking for the bag. Who's here said, secure the bag? Raise your hand if you've said that before. I've said it before, right? And then you get a garbage bag or a Payless bag or a bag from Target, and then you're just like, you're not listening to me, universe. No, you said secure the bag or a bag. You and put a dollar amount to the bag, and so you got what you were asking for. We say that all the time. The other thing that we say is coins. I'm out here trying to get my coins. Yep, that's exactly what you got. Coins. Quarters, not dimes, nickels, and pennies. Coins, right? And so that's why you have to give your genius a destination. What new foods do you want to eat as a result of your genius? What new conversations do you want to have as a result of your genius? Where do you want to vacation as a result of your genius? Get granular with the things that you want out of life so you can have the things that you want out of life. And the last part of stepping into your genius is knowing that, and I used to say this to my mentor all the time, the pie is big enough for all of us to get a slice. Because when you have and step into your genius, there is no competition. There is only a collaborative spirit and essence of everyone around you, only if we look at it like that. And what my mentor used to say to me all the time When I said that statement to him the first time, he was like, Felecia, no. The pie is not big enough for all of us to get a slice. And I was like, what you talking about? Do I need to bake a cake? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, the pie is not big enough for all of us to get a slice. Because when you eat your slice of the pie, that's it. You consume, you get what you need out of it, and it leaves no room for anyone else. And so what we should be striving as you now step boldly into your genius, and now know the quality of your questions determine the quality of your life, and you've calibrated your body to ask and answer better questions and decisions, is that we should not be striving as beautiful, amazing, brilliant people here today at this dope conference. We should be striving not to eat from the pie, but we should be striving to eat from the garden. And I'm not going Adam and Eve, don't worry. When you eat fruit and you consume something from the garden, when you eat it, at the end of it are seeds at the core. And so you can eat and be consumed and well-fed by your talents, your gifts, your position, your companies. You should be well-fed. But your consumption actually produces more fruit when you eat from the garden as opposed to eating your slice of the pie. So if anything, about each and every one of you stepping into your genius at this brilliant conference, and when you leave this brilliant conference, commit to eating from the garden, because when you consume and you are well fed, you produce more seeds. And when you produce more seeds, you plant more fruit. And each and every one of us in our amazing, abundant community absolutely gets to eat as a result of your genius. Thank y'all.